Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I feel very humbled to come to Kyoto University, which has produced 6 Nobel Prize winners in chemistry and physics. And I have deep gratitude to Professor Tanabe to invite me to join his research group for 4 months. I find the research group very friendly, vivacious, warm, as well as strong in science. So it is a great pleasure to be here. Professor Fujita, thank you for arranging this presentation. Yeah. Well, I don't know whether I should apologize for not talking about spectroscopy, but there we are. We are Ultrarunning, and let's kick it off. The presentation will have the following contents. We'll say what is ultrarunning, how to define it. Then discuss how athletes can get better performance and how their performance changes with time. The body mass index is something we need to think about if we are going to get fit and healthy. How to start running. If you're not running now, well, it's never too late. I didn't start until I was 40, so you've got plenty of time to start running. That's a good thing, how to run faster. It's not what you think to do, but we'll have a few tips about that. Edith, my friend, gives some genre of running, and then I go through my personal recollections of some races that I took part in. Finally, I want to answer the question, why? Why are we so crazy, as my wife said? You're really stupid to take part in a 24-hour race. Why are you doing this? So I give some reasons. And then my favorites, my icons, the people I look up to really inspire me. So as a teacher, you know, teachers love to have quizzes and examinations. So that's how I'm going to start off. So who is this? Ah, we love quiz, yes. No? Really? David Beckham, oh, you don't know. He would be very offended. This one maybe. Try another one. This one? Gosh, are you a sportsman? Basketball? Kobe Bryant, there we are, Kobe Bryant. Surely you know this one. Yeah. Messi, of course. Lionel Messi. Kobayashi, where's Kobayashi? Roger Federer, yeah. This one? Maybe not so familiar, I don't know. Let's see how they earn. I took these figures from various websites. They're only indicative. I don't think they tell the whole story. But certainly we can see Beckham is on about $30 million a year. My friend here, Kouros, I don't know. I don't think he even made 1 million. But Federer certainly does, and Kobe Bryant and Messi, they are really rich guys. So who's this guy? To me, he's the top of them all. He's the #1 sportsman here, but he's not rich. He's got 160 world records. If you run anything more than about 100 kilometers, he's got the record. He's got the record for 1,000 miles road race, 10 days. He said to his wife, I'm just going out to a race. I'll see you 10 days later, okay? He's got the record for anything you can name, 24 hours, 12 hours, track or road. Phenomenal, but he's not very well known. This is not a high impact sport in the media. He says, when other people get tired, they stop. I don't. I take over my body with my mind. I tell it that it's not tired, and it listens. Now, I tried that, but it said, oh, shut up, I'm tired. It's not good for me, but it works for him. He's really the top. He says mental experience is more important than physical speed, but oh my, he's also got physical speed. His training is not tough. 12-kilometer workouts, you can run that in an hour. When he does a 6-day race, his intakes are phenomenal. The calories that he's taking in the first day, 15,000 calories, and the second day, a lot. But in those 6 days, he only sleeps in total for 2.5 hours. He takes breaks, 15-minute power nap, and then he goes back to run in 6 days, 2.5 hours sleep. He's about 10% higher than any other athlete in the last 30 or 40 years. You can tell by the results from Spartathlon, which is the 246-kilometer race from Athens to Sparta. He's run it in about 20 hours. And he ran it again a few years later, and later in 20 hours. These are the champions. And you can see that the nearest time to his is about 23 hours. So he's really about 10% better than anyone else. It's amazing. Well, what is ultrarunning? And again, as a teacher, if you want to find something out, it's Google or Wiki. So we go to Wiki here, and we take the definition. An ultramarathon, also called ultra-distance, is any sporting event involving running and walking longer than the traditional marathon length of 42.195 kilometers. That's what Wiki will say. Anything longer than a marathon, we call it an ultramarathon. What does Kouros say? What does he say in his blogs? He's got many, many blogs, and he writes about all sorts of things. He's got a degree in music. He writes poetry, so we must listen to him. I won't take you through all of this, but just somewhere to the end, a runner has to face the whole spectrum of daytime and nighttime and be able to continue. Doing so, he or she will prove that she can go beyond the effectiveness of genetic gifts and fitness level, because those elements will have gone from the duration of time and the muscular exhaustion. So an ultramarathon is something about mind over matter. It's not to do with the distance. Here he is again. When one runs 45, 50, or even 100 kilometers, for me, that's not an ultra runner, no. When you surpass not the 100 kilometers, but the 100 miles mark, that's over 12 or 24 hours. That's the point when you show you are a unique human being, when your mind can take over from your body. And his body would listen, yes. Well, if you want to take part in some of these races, here you are. There's this year I followed a 6-day race, and the winner almost looked at one stage as though he was going to break 1,000 kilometers. But on the last day, he tired, and he finished at 975 kilometers in 6 days. You know, the second runner was 150 kilometers behind. Incredible. He won by 150 kilometers. Wow. So I followed that every day. It was quite interesting. One of the most famous ultras is from Athens to Sparta, and that is going up an elevation of more than 1,000 meters. So it's quite hilly and parts are quite rough. It's a very tough ultra race. Then there is the Trans-Europe race. Sometimes it went from south of Italy up to Hamburg in Germany. Wow. This time it's going from Scotland to Spain. 4,000 kilometers in 64 stages. You can join it next time, okay? Mind you, it's quite expensive to join this because you have to pay for your tent. Well, if you can't join those, surely you can join the Ultra Trail Mount Fuji, 160K with certain time limits. And a lot of runners do, 800 or 1,200 runners are joining this race. So it's very popular. Now, how does performance change when you meet these longer distances? I've drawn a graph of the distance against time for world record female runners. So these are the world records for those distances for females. So from about 100 meters to 10K, I could draw quite a straight line graph. It's a bit curved at the beginning, but the slope is reasonably constant at about 5.6 meters per second. So that is for the world record for female runners. Now, take it out, instead of 10 kilometers, take it up to about 250 kilometers. Again, distance against time for the world records, female runners. And we've got quite a bend. We're not going straight up. We are slowing down. And here, in this 24-hour race here, the time was about half of the previous value, 5.6 meters per second. We just can't keep that up for such a long, long time. Ultrarunning is another regime. It's impossible to keep up such a strong speed. How does performance change with time over the years? I've downloaded time, that is for 100-meter men, 9.6 seconds to 10.6 seconds, against the year going from 1910 to present day. And these are the world records. So in 1912, for 100 meters, the record was 10.6 seconds. See, there's quite a spread here for each time because the accuracy wasn't so great. It's only plus or minus 0.05 seconds. So you've got a spread there of about 0.1 second on the time. It wasn't until 1977 that fully automatic time measurement came into being. So you see the spread now is much smaller. The accuracy is much better. So 10.2 seconds in 1941, 1968, that's pretty fast. And of course, lightning bolt in 2009 in Berlin, 9.58 seconds. Are they comparable? Is it fair to compare these times? This is what it looked like in the 1896 Athens Olympics. And here, even in 1964, runners were not on these super all-weather tracks. They were running on fine cinders. Do you know cinders? It's an igneous rock. It's rather like pumice stone. It's got a lot of air, and when you run, it makes a crushing sound. So running on cinders is a little bit different from running on a modern track. Also, there were no starting blocks for these 100-meter races. The runners had to take a trowel and dig a little hole to put their feet in. So, is it really comparable? Also, they had no sports shoes. They were very primitive in those days, not like our Nikes and so forth nowadays. So can we really compare those times, especially when somebody like Jesse Owens was doing 10.3 seconds. It's not like Kouros. I said Kouros is better by 10% than anybody else in the world. So if he was doing 10 seconds, then the nearest rival would be on about 11 seconds, 10% difference. So I think one must have some caution in comparing the times from beforehand with nowadays, because the conditions were very different then. Let's look at the female to male performance. How good are men and women in comparison? So I've listed some sports. These are all swimming. These are running. And here are the times for men and for women. So we have the performance ratio. So the men's times are about 90% of those of the women's times. Here they're listed in a pictorial way. So about 90%. How do they compare in 24-hour races, male and female? How are they? Of course, the world record is Mami Kudo. Where did she come from? I wonder. Oh, Japan, of course. And she's got the female world record for a 24-hour race. Kouros, of course, has the male record, so the ratio is about 0.84 there. But looking at world records on road and track from 203 to 2013, here's the male champion, here's the female champion, and we take the ratio and it's about normally 0.9. So the female to male performance is about 0.9. But, you know, in a 24-hour race, there's always a lady on the podium. They're always there because they do a very good time. I'll give you some examples. In the Suzhou in Taipei race in 2011, the 24-hour race, Sakir from Japan came first. Mami Kudo, terrific run. She came second, so she was second overall out of about 50 runners. A great performance. Always a lady on the podium. In 2005, here are 3 ladies greater than 200 kilometers. And for the men, there were 10 of us, I was there, greater than 200K. So even so, the ladies, really a great performance. I would take that figure of 0.9 out of your mind because there's always a lady around the top on the podium.
You are the oldest.
Well, I was 60 then, yes. I'm 70 now. Yeah. I was a bit older than some of them.
So why so we cannot see so many young people? So I think all of them are more than 38, 35.
Yeah, well, even for a marathon, they hardly allow people under 16 to run. And they think it's better that you are over 30, maybe. But there's no age limit for entry. Sometimes there are younger guys, but I don't think they have the stamina, and I don't think they have the mental capability. That's the most important thing. Yeah. It's easy to give up. Yeah. Well, how does performance change with your gene pool and your body type? You know, in Kenya, there is a tribe called the Kalenjins. It's only about 6% of all the Kenyan people, nearly 5 million of them, and one could compare that to the population of USA, for example, where there are more than 300 million people. So not many only about 5 million Kalenjins. Here they are, and they dominate the world's ultras, the world's marathons and so forth. 17 American men in history, that's always, forever, have run a marathon under 2 hours, 10 minutes. Well, in 1 month, 32 Kalenjin did it. That's quite astonishing. Just in 1 month, there were 32 of these guys who could do it. But since history, only 17 Americans have done it. So that shows there is something in their gene pool and their body. Look at them. Look at that leg. It's so thin. And the thin means it's got a large surface area to volume. Very good for cooling, like a radiator. Long legs. Very good stride. And they can swing their legs like a pendulum to really get into the air and stride. So they have something in their genes to make them so successful. Well, their training period is based on a vegan diet almost. They're based on 86% vegetable, 14% animal food with no drugs or dietary supplements. So they take in about 80% carbohydrates, 10% fat, and 10% protein. That is their regime, their training regime. Now, if you want to run a marathon, how much do you need? How much energy do you need? It depends really on quite a few things, mainly upon your body mass. So we'll take this figure, about 130-pound male. You would need around 2,220 calories to run. Well, actually, you could have that stored. You can load up to 2,000 calories beforehand. You can even load up to 8,000 calories of fat. Normally, runners do carbo loading. They eat a lot of spaghetti the week before, and it takes some time to excrete that, but they put on weight when they're carbo loading, because 1 gram of carbohydrate brings you 3 grams of water also, so you don't carbo load too much because you're putting on extra weight. Now, if you want to know how much intake you need while you are running, the expenditure per kilometer can be a factor of your body weight. So if we take that figure, 130 pounds, we have this factor. You can look at the website and see where it comes from, but we'll come to the figure, 51 calories per kilometer is what you need to run the marathon. Now, your running rate, how many kilometers per hour are you going to run? Let's say we're doing a 5-minute kilometer, that's 12 kilometers per hour. So we have the number of calories per kilometer, the number of kilometers per hour. Now we can go on to the number of calories per hour. So for our hourly expenditure, we need 614 calories per hour. But actually, you can only take in about 30% of what you are expending. You can only physically absorb about 30% of what you expend. So we take 30% of that and say, if we take in nearly 200 calories per hour, it's good, it's okay. What do we do to take in 200 calories? Well, we could have a Pocari, or we could have a banana, and we would be way over 200 calories each hour. Maybe we don't need that much because we have quite a lot of calories stored. But if you take nothing in, maybe you're going to hit a wall at about 30 kilometers of the marathon race. So you do need to take in some sports drink to keep in your energy. If you're taking carbohydrates, for every gram, you get 4 calories. Protein, the same. Fat, you get more calories, but it takes much longer to digest. So that's about how much you need to take in when you're running a marathon. How can I run faster? People used to tell me, you move your legs faster and you can run faster. But actually, that's maybe true to some extent. But if you want to run faster, you've got to have longer, more powerful strides. Open your legs more. And Bolt, when he runs 100 meters, he does it in 41 strides, huge strides. An amateur runner would take a lot more, maybe up to 55 strides. The average athlete, when he's taking each stride, his foot contact with the ground is about 0.12 seconds. He's hitting the ground 0.12 seconds each stride. An elite athlete doesn't spend so much time on the ground, and he's flying. He's in the air. About 60% of time, they're flying. They're actually in the air and not touching the ground. So if you want to run faster, open your legs, learn to stride much more. Be like Bolt, and you can't fail. Now, how's our health? We can check that on the web. You can see many websites like this. All you need to do is enter your height and your weight, whether it's in centimeters, kilogram, or pounds and inches. And putting your height and putting your weight, whatever it is, you come to your BMI, your body mass index. It indicates your body fat. For example, in China, during those 10 years, the prevalence of overweight increased by nearly 40%. And it's quite astonishing in many other countries. We use the term overweight. Overweight, it means that your child is above a weight considered normal and healthy. More so, obese. A child is severely overweight with a BMI that's equal or greater than the 95th percentile. So these are the normal categories for determining whether you are underweight, normal, overweight, or obese. Actually, it's a little bit different for Asians maybe. People say we don't take those figures, 25. We take in Japan 25 or 30 for obese. They give slightly different values depending on the body fat content. In US, 33% of 10 to 17-year-olds are obese or overweight. In China, 23% of boys under 20 years old. When they grow up, when they have a more sedentary lifestyle, it's going to be terrible. The cardiovascular diseases will be chronic. Many other diseases also. Here's a plot in USA of the trends from these years, and we're really going into the brown colors to see how obesity is more widespread because of exercise and because of diet. So what can we do? Start jogging. Go out there, okay, and feel fresh. Get the endorphins in your brain. First of all, get some sports shoes. That helps you. Don't go out in your old shoes. Get some good sports shoes. Pay a bit, get some Nike or Skechers. Choose your route and walk it a few times. I did that. The first time I went around a block, 400 meters, and when I tried to run, I was out of breath. Yeah, the first time, I remember. Stretch before and after you run. Well, it's not so important because we don't run fast. And it's good to do. It's good to stretch and keep flexible, but I don't half the time. Run slowly at first, a few times a week. Don't start off crazy and strain your hamstring or some other muscle. Take it easy the first few times. Avoid heel strike. Yeah, go when you're running, your toe hits the floor first, not your heel. Heel for walking, okay, but for running, it must be your toe that hits the ground. Keep the upper body relaxed. Relax, yes, okay, relax. And hold your arm at 90 degrees position, yes. Run tall. Okay, keep straight back. Don't run like this. Good to breathe now and again, okay, breathe, yeah. And I didn't realize until this year, my son David told me, don't breathe like that. Breathe twice in and once out. You take in much more air when you're breathing like that. I never did it until this year. I wish he'd told me 30 years ago, but he wasn't around. Set up a schedule and log your performance. It will give you some incentive if you write down and see some improvement in your running. And gradually increase the time and the distance you're running. Don't run the same place every day. You'll get a bit bored and give up. Vary your routine. Very important. Get a running buddy. Now, if you get a buddy like that, you'll be running, men, about 3 times a day, I bet. So, get a running buddy. It really helps, yeah. Sign up for a charity race to help people and to get people to support you. It will really motivate you because you have to compete then if people are supporting you with cash. Don't give up and always be positive, feel motivated. So that's how to start. It's easy in Kyoto. These are the most popular jogging places. Along here, the Kamogawa River is quite a favorite place to run. I run there and you see people on bicycles, people eating their lunch, people playing musical instruments. So it's fun to run there as well as the scenery, which is great. There are some websites telling you the monthly marathon homepage, the events running in Kansai, and there are some blogs. There's one I like by the Kansai runner on Facebook. He's Randy Pullman, and he gives a lot of useful hints about running in Kyoto. I'm aware in 1917, to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the movement of the capital from Kyoto to Tokyo, there was a race. And this was the name. And I don't know how many people took part, some from East, some from West Japan. And they ran from Kyoto to Tokyo Ueno, which is 516 kilometers. But I didn't see that race was repeated. I wonder why. It just commemorated the 50th anniversary. But there is a race in January every year, Hakone Ikeden, and that is 217 kilometer race with teams teams of 10 men. And in the last couple of years, these universities have been the champions. A very famous race. These guys are fast. I mean, they can do 5K in 13, 14 minutes. So you have a team of 10 people like that. They are really killing that distance very quickly. I took this video at the top of Mount Daimonji because I love running on the trails in Kyoto. There are so many trails. You can run around the hills here, and it's good to have maps. The trails are very natural. They don't have concrete. They don't have barriers. You just run on natural trail. And there are various routes. So if you want to buy the map, I went to this bookshop and got the maps. But maybe you can get it at tourist offices as well, I'm not sure. I only got lost a few times and then quickly found my way. And it was good to have the map, yes. So there's plenty of beautiful scenery to admire around here. Well, my friend Edith said, there are 3 types of running, 3 genres. First of all, realistic, which is like taking part in a 5-kilometer race. You're there at the beginning, you're there at the end, you just run and complete the distance. Realistic. Then, surrealistic. You're running around a track for 24 hours. It blows your mind. You're in another dimension, track or a loop course. And then there's the absurd genre. That is running on a treadmill when you could be out there in the green Kyoto trail, much more attractive maybe. So she said 3 types of running. Let's talk about my running history. And I was a good little boy, yes. Here I am at the first time I went to the seaside, I think. She was my next door neighbor, and she had a lovely dog. That's me when I was a little boy. And then at primary school, we won so many trophies. We won everything at cricket, football. Where am I? Which one? This one? This one? Quiet one.
Very different.
Yes, yes, very different. So we were good. But then, you know, you grow up and become a teenager, and some of you know teenagers can be naughty, and I started to disobey my parents and be a very naughty boy. And then drinking a lot, smoking, 60 a day. 60 a day for many, many years, until I was 39. I was coughing up blood. I was having spasms when I was driving. So I decided I've got to stop. And the only way to stop smoking, which is a severe drug, is to do something positive. So I started running and drinking water when I felt like a cigarette. Had to do something positive. So, as I said, the first time I ran around the block, 400 meters, completely out of breath. But gradually, you get better and better. Some people record all the marathons they have run. I don't take notes, and I just look forward to the next one. I can't be bothered with thinking about the past. So my first competition was the 100-kilometer Hong Kong Trail Walker, where you go up and down hills, 1 kilometer hills, and it's very, very tough. We walked that time, yeah. My first marathon was in Macau, and I was 46. And then I started to be more serious, and the first race I won was round the island, running around Hong Kong Island on the 67-kilometer trail, up and down the hills, very rugged, very tough trail race. And since then, I enjoyed many, many trails in Hong Kong, and the mountain marathons. Every year there are 5 mountain marathons. And in Hong Kong, yes, we have many buildings. We have those along the coast mainly, but 40% of Hong Kong is country park. And you're never far from a trail. You can be up here very quickly from your workplace. And I was working at City University. This was about 10 minutes away. So it's very convenient for running. When you go to Hong Kong, don't just go to the shopping malls. No, get in the country park and enjoy the sea, the tall buildings, the hills. That is the great panorama, the backdrop of those 3 things. So we had many team races. This one was a team of 3, and it was put on by Green Power, a 50-kilometer trail race. And we start up at the peak, about 500 meters high, and finish at the sea side, Big Wave Bay. And in this one, we were second. We were less than 1 minute behind the winners. We were just catching them up, but we didn't manage that. And the following year, actually, we did come first on that race. And then going the other way up, starting at the seaside and finishing on the peak. This is called uphill walker, although you're not walking, you're running. And that was the first time I made a big mistake. I took a shortcut. I didn't mean to, but I didn't know the course so well. And I took a shortcut, and I was at a checkpoint, and the number 1 came in and was astonished. How did you get here before me? And I was just drinking a Coca-Cola, and of course I was disqualified, but I really didn't mean to take a shortcut. Yeah. We have competed in the Trail Walker many, many times, and came second on a couple of occasions, about 900 teams. This is a team of 4. This guy flew in from Japan to join us as a member of our team. Unfortunately, he dropped out after the first checkpoint. But we have many. This was a French team I was with. And during one year, running downhill, I had a nasty fall, broke my glasses, but still managed to finish in 13, 14 hours. And then later on, I joined the veterans teams. Veteran means over 50 years old, and we had many successes and broke veterans' records. But maybe the races I remember most are the 24-hour races, the 24-hour track. This was the first one in Hong Kong in 1993, and it was won by Winnie, and she had a lot of problems during the night. She was very sick, but she still came through that and won. I was going great after about 13, 14 hours. I was second, and I phoned, when I was running, I phoned my son, come and see, come and bring some food, because I didn't eat anything and I didn't drink. And he came, and we sat down, and I just stiffened up. I couldn't move. My muscles just totally rigid, so I had to drop out after about 15 hours. And that's when I learned, in a 24-hour race, you must take in some nourishment, some food and drink. The following year, there was a 24-hour race in Guangzhou at the big Tianhe Stadium, and it's like a lens focusing the heat. It was 35 degrees. It was unbearably hot. And there were these runners from Singapore, China, Hong Kong, UK. And it was very difficult during the night to keep on and keep a good spirit, keep on running. Everyone was running so slowly until suddenly, in the middle of the night, in this quiet, huge stadium, whoa, they played that song. And then everyone started running very quickly. It was a tonic. It just amazing how it took us. Yeah. So at that race, I think there were more doctors than competitors. A lot of doctors from hospitals in Guangzhou, and they were seeing the effects on athletes during the race. So every Chinese runner had to give blood samples every few hours. Maybe they got no blood at the end of the race, I don't know. We didn't have to give blood samples unless we wanted a massage. If you have a massage, then you must give a blood sample. So no way, I don't want a massage, no. But shame for the Chinese runners, they all had to give blood samples. Well, for the good of science, I guess, yeah. Suzhou, Dongwu Dashui in Taipei have a 24-hour race every year. And it's organized by Frank Guo. It's a carnival. There's so many things going on. Dancing, singing, that you're never bored running there. Very often, the weather isn't so good. Sometimes it rains for the whole 24 hours, and you're soaking wet. This was the best year when, as I said, there were 10 male runners who ran more than 200 kilometers. It was quite an achievement. Sakiya from Japan, he has won the race many, many times. He is a terrific athlete. So it was great to go to Suzhou every year. You have a chip on your shoe as you run around. It gives an automatic timing. Also, they have lap counters. They have many, many students who spur you on when you are running. Each time they cheer you, each lap. So that really makes a terrific atmosphere when you are running. Yeah. The following year, they had a strange race. They had an open man's race, and it was in a park, a little park like a Japanese garden, and you were running around all sorts of curves and bends, and it was very difficult. There was a straight stretch here, which was very welcome, except there were many hawkers, and those guys were frying chicken and all sorts of delicious foods. And when you ran along here, the aromas would come to you. And you really felt like stopping and having something, but you had to carry on. Yeah. So that was an unusual race. Here is the British champion, Sharon Gator, and the Irish champion, and we shared a table with our supplies. I did a 24-hour race in Hong Kong in January. We organized it. The Hong Kong Ultra Marathon Association organized it. And it was on one day, 30th to 31st of January. And the following day, there were all sorts of sports events organized nearby at a stadium for running and for race walking. So it was a great 2-day period. The 24-hour race was along a promenade by the sea. It's quite a polluted area, actually. It's an enclosed bay called Tolo Harbour. And at that time, there was a red tide. But running along here in the middle of the night, when everything was so dark, you look out, it's so dark, you could see the fluorescence from these algae. And it was really interesting and quite unique experience to run at 2, 3, 4 a.m. and see the waves coming in with this blue color. It was really exciting. So, as my wife said, what on earth are you doing? Why are you running in a 24-hour race? You could be at home. You could be watching television. Wow, why? That's you. What are you doing it for? Well, I can give you some reasons. First of all, it is a challenge, and we all like challenges to move us forward in our life. Whether it's tightrope walking, sailing, climbing, we all have to do our own special challenge. If you can meet that challenge, the sense of satisfaction on completion is great, enormous. Most of all, you get self-confidence and contentment. And it doesn't just happen at the end of the race, it lasts. It's lasting. So that is a great reason to take part. It's a challenge. Secondly, you train perseverance. And one needs perseverance in the months to train for the race. Not only relates to the race, but the many months of arduous training that forestalls it. I can't be like Kouros and just run 12 kilometers a day. I have to really push myself and increase the distance prior to the race. When you're running, you get these negative thoughts. Something like a demon running on your shoulder together with you, telling you things you don't want to hear. Stop for a drink, or just stop and have a drink. Give up. You can't do it. It's 24 hours. Why not give up now and go home? Or the one I really like, take me to the hospital. Yes. But when I was running and I felt down, my friend running alongside me, Helga, she said to me during one race, you must never, never give up. Keep on. And I remember those words so clearly. She helped me a lot. Teamwork and friendship. You're not competing against people. You're running with them. You're helping them. A smile or a welcome word of encouragement with another runner, it helps you get through those 24-hour race. Everyone aims to help other runners because you can see they have pain and fatigue. So we smile, we help them to get through the 24 hours. Internationalism. Friendships blossom between runners from overseas, and you meet runners from all over the world in these races. Particularly between runners and helpers, and these endure for life. So, for example, during one race in Taipei, these students helped me, and I took them out to dinner afterwards and still keep contact with them. They were great guys helping me in that race. They're so attentive and encouraging, and this is what we remember. Moreover, meeting people from all over the world, different countries, we realize that they're our friends. Nobody is our enemy. Another reason, charity. We run to raise funds for worthwhile causes. And in 2005, I was running for Orbis. Orbis perform operations for blind people in underdeveloped countries. And I didn't tell these girls that I was running for Orbis, But they knew, and they made a poster, and they raised some money for me, which was quite satisfying because I didn't ask them to do it. They did it by themselves. I think that was really genuinely wonderful. A little money can make a difference, and that's why I finished quite well, I think. Yeah. The year before, I ran for the Children's Cancer Foundation. And in Trail Walker, we always run for Oxfam, the 100-kilometer Trail Walker, so we can raise 4 people in a team. We can raise a good amount of cash for Oxfam, for that charity. 4 people, 1 goal, run 100 kilometers and fight against poverty. So that's a great reason to take part. But it's not easy when you're running a 24-hour race. This is what I was like the next day on one time. Really hurting, but you don't have negative thoughts. That is the most important thing I have learned. The big thing. Put away negative thoughts. Only think positive. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it in the first 24-hour race, I think. But if you learn, you can survive, you can get through, because it's in your mind. The mind takes over the body. And if you can abolish negative thinking, stop for a drink, or just relax after the next lap, have a rest. No, you say, no, I want to carry on. And that is the biggest thing I have learned. Perseverance and the way to think positive. Positive thinking is great. So, let's stop, said the feet. Lie down, said the shadow. Find some shade, said the trees. Oh, that's enough, said the clouds. Give up, said the road. Shut up, I said. Shut up, I want to get on. Yeah. So, get those negative thoughts away. Just keep your own pace. Here I am. Just keep your own pace and you'll get through and finish the race. Well, I've got some people I really admire, some icons. I've run with Helga many times. She was the world female champion, the German champion, but she had an accident and lost most of her leg, and then she had cancer. But she's still running. She's still running ultras. She went to California a few weeks ago to compete. She's not fast, but she does it and she finishes. She's great. Mr. Yip, he passed away at 93 years old in January this year. His mother was Japanese, and they went to live in Taiwan, I think, and then in Fuzhou in China. His father was from China. One time he took a ship from Fuzhou to Taiwan, and it sank. There were only 36 survivors out of 1,500. He managed to survive. But he didn't get home to his wife until sometime later, and she had remarried and got children from another husband. So he was quite devastated. He was a tailor in Hong Kong. He lived in a very small apartment. But he was always there at races. Whenever you went on a trail race, he would be there taking part. I remember one race, I started a time trial, and you could start at any time, and you just took off every half hour that they would have runners starting. And he was there. And of course, he was quite old then. And I said to the organizer, why is he here? Oh, he said, it's the 3rd time he started. He got lost every time. And he's come back to the beginning. So now it's his 3rd time. So he never gave up. Wow. And Henry Wanioka, a blind guy, he runs really fast. He has a helper. And he's running with great spirit. He's an icon. So, I leave you with the words of Ioannis Kouros, the master, like a tree that grows stronger with more branches and roots, you need to find more and more ways to be inspired. So be inspired, get out there and run, and you'll feel much healthier, much fitter. So thank you for your attention, and gayao, as we say, gayao, add oil. Yeah. Thank you.